Absolutely. Hey guys, how you doing? We got Hans and we got Lewis. How are you guys doing? It's good to see you guys again. I got you muted here, Lewis.
Yeah, thank
Hello.
you. There's Lewis.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having us, Adam. We met recently, and I'm really happy to be here today with you. I really appreciate what you guys are doing with this hackathon. So, let's get started.
Absolutely. I've been talking about proof of stake coins, and I think this is like so we had Davey, you guys know them, and there's somebody yesterday, Pack Global, I believe, and there's a lot of proof of stake coins out there. You guys are really unique, and that's part of the reason I wanted you guys to come on. I was really intrigued. I think Muhammad reached out to you guys, and we were chatting, and I was like, man, like they got some cool stuff going on, and I was curious about a couple things, and I started asking. And you guys said that you had a really interesting kind of decentralized model of how you govern Polis, and I thought that was really cool. I thought that was an interesting path to go down. And then I started kind of talking to you guys more and more, and you had a really good plan for the upcoming year and everything that you guys were doing. So I definitely, I hadn't heard you guys on anywhere or seen yet, and I figured it'd be great to get you in front of the blockchain centers community, kind of talk about what you guys are doing and kind of the path and the roadmap. And I really like the the energy of the team. I think we had a couple calls, and I just wanted to learn. So I just wanted welcome you guys and see kind of what's going on with Polis, and give me the rundown, give me the elevator pitch. Why Polis? Why now? What's going on in 2021? And kind of key items and where you guys are going, because I know you got a lot cooking over there. So introduce yourselves if you wouldn't mind.
So my name is Luis Correa. I'm from Mexico. I have been working with the Polis team since I believe early 2018. The project started in late 2017, I believe. So I have been, for the most part, with the project. I have been participating in a lot of the initiatives that we have been having, since the start. It's very exciting to be here right now in 2020, where we are close to launch our own code base. We're preparing an entirely new protocol. So I don't want to continue with that before Hans introduces himself.
Yeah, thank you, Louis. So I'm Hans Looman. I'm originally from the Netherlands. I live in Canada now since 2005. I found the Polis project in 2018. I'm always constantly searching for utility. I'm sort of, well, if it comes to a maximalist, I'm a utility maximalist. I'm looking for projects that can help the actual thing that I think is very important, consumer to business, business to business, those types of things, and all sorts of financial solutions that come to it. And I was intrigued by the Polis project because it was one of the few projects that was actually working on a debit card interface at that point. And from there, I was right away all in. So we've gone through many, many things that we'll touch on later on. But yeah, right now my function is the quality assurance manager for the upcoming Olympus project that we're going to talk about later on too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, touching on Olympus and touching on this debit card. So look, I mean, I come from a lot of different perspectives. I look at blockchain as technology, and then, obviously cryptocurrency, as a mechanism to replace kind of our current currency system. If it's US dollars, it could be anything, is the reality. And I know the government doesn't like to agree with that in the US, but look, we didn't have a state issued currency in the beginning. Somewhere along the line, we started getting a central bank. We started issuing a lot of monopoly money, whatever. It's not my style, but I know some people really like it. I try to live my life in crypto as much as possible, and so I'm really open in this front. I actually, there's a lot of projects I liked over the years. I thought IOTA was really interesting until they tried to write their own cryptographic algorithm, and then they kind of came back to reality and they started making some really good things. I'm not going to pick on them too much. I like the innovation. They were writing ternary and everything. I liked Litecoin. Because it was faster, and the script, and Bobby Lee and all these guys that are working in the space. Is Charlie or Bobby? I always mix them up. It was
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Bobby's his brother. Forgot. But Charlie, did something interesting there, and then kind of moving into like some of the other things that I started really watching, like Feathercoin, and I watched the whole thing, kind of go, back in the day, I think there was like a couple exchanges when we were watching them all. You start researching the coins, reading the white papers, and there's like a common theme. Everybody has that one thing that makes them unique. Now, some coins, I believe, they try to go the route of being a currency, and they might not be sustainable for a number of reasons, right? They might not be fast enough. They might not have the infrastructure. They might not have this. So I kind of like the approach that Polis is taking with, like you were mentioning, kind of this debit card feel. And I'm not going to talk too much about the other stuff. I'll let you guys talk about it with the, I don't even know if you want to bring it up, but I remember you guys were speaking something about, how to have that on ramp, off ramp. I'll let you talk about it if you want. I don't know if that's something you want to bring up, but also there's, this other aspect of it, which is the governance and how you guys release Polis. And then, kind of this new Olympus project that you guys are doing. So I wanted to hear if you wouldn't mind just kind of like isolate, kind of go through kind of what your value prop is, why you guys think that you guys can, really become a currency, in its full sense. And, what are the implications of this debit card? Am I going to be able to just swipe it anywhere? It's going to work. What's the plan for that? Kind of what's the background look like in the infrastructure for that, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So I think in order to kind of start explaining why Olympus is so important and why the governance system that we implemented on Olympus is going to be great, is to understand how we got here. Essentially, Polis started as a fork from Dash. So we share a lot of its features of its current governance system, which allows to fund community proposals for projects that are of interest for the project, right? So we have been living with that system since 2017. It has been working great for us, but we, as a project, believe that we can do so much more in this regard. We started designing Olympus around the idea of having a functional DAO system, decentralized autonomous organization. This means that everything related to the governance is kind of coded into the protocol. So there's election cycles that take place inside of the blockchain. There's, of course, the voting mechanisms and so on. But also, we wanted to create a comprehensive system of rules and mechanisms to prevent kind of misbehaving inside of the governance, right? So if a DAO manager, also kind of the reporting and the transparency towards the community is achieved through special blocks in the blockchain. Everyone can audit how the funds that are given to the DAO are spent and they know where they are, right? So there's also some mechanisms to prevent that any DAO manager may go rogue in some place or whatever. So there's some mechanisms that allow the community to kick out any DAO manager at any point in time and start like an emergency voting cycle. And also DAO managers can, through, I think the name is partial majority. If 3 out of 5 DAO managers agree to kind of kick out some DAO manager that perhaps is not performing according to the metrics that its position subjects him to, they can kick him out. So it's a pretty comprehensive system of rules that allow 5 key areas of the project, which are technology, business, adoption, marketing, and community, to have special funding for their tasks. And also that allows the community to be involved in how they choose and even remove these DAO managers, right? Essentially, there's voting cycles every 6 months. A DAO manager can go elected as frequently or as many times as the people want to, and that's our contribution to the governance system, right?
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to unwrap in what you said, and my brain immediately goes to let's build on what somebody else says. And like, I just start taking it further and like all the, this is just the way my brain works. I'm like, oh, what if you plugged an AI as a DAO manager, right? And Aphid, the guy that I was talking to yesterday was, and then they got the money and then so like, I'm not going to get into all that, but I had like a ton of ideas that kind of spread on governance. I think governance is one of those things, just like healthcare or one of these, one of these major areas that requires like a lot of innovation. Is very difficult to get right. So I think it's interesting that you guys have emergency voting rounds. I think I'm piecing together some of the details in my own head. I'm sure I'm not far off, maybe not exactly right, but I'm kind of getting where you guys are coming from. So you have a bad acting manager, doing something. Maybe it's the marketing position, for example. Is this what you would consider a DAO manager, right? Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And this guy's just horrible. He's going out. He's taking his money. He's going to Italy. He's got all the girls with him. Whatever. He's doing a horrible job. He's posting on his Instagram. To me, he's like, oh my God, this is not what we voted for. This actually happened to me, by the way, in a token project that we were working with back in the day. They took the whole team to Italy, and I was like, oh my God, like the worst. You raise all this money, now you're just out, have a party.
Exactly.
Anyway, so something like this happens, and we were on contract. I wasn't part of the team, by the way. I will say that we were on contract as a marketing company, so not my team. Not going to say who it was, but something like this happens. Now, let's get rid of this guy. He's a bum, right? We got to vote him out. So we just did a voting round. He was elected. First thing he does, go to Italy with all the money. We vote him out 3-5. We say, hey, let's kick off an emergency voting round is what you do. 3 of the 5 DAO managers can activate it, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then it goes to the community. Now, how are the votes weighted? Is it by wallet address? Is it by amount of Polis that you're holding? Like, how does the vote happen?
Yes, essentially, you generate something known as coin proof. So you vote with the amount of coins that you have. So the amount of coins you have is kind of related, or the exact same amount your vote is counted as, and then you only need partial majority. For electing a DAO manager, you need kind of absolute majority over to be elected, and for removing a bad actor, you only need 30% of the voting coins to kick out a misbehaving DAO manager.
Okay, so let me understand this. First of all, it's an active voting system, which means your vote doesn't default, right? Like if I don't vote, it doesn't automatically vote for me. There's no default voting, correct? Okay, so we have to actively vote. So to remove a bad manager, what we would have to do is we kick off a vote, and if 70% voted to keep him and 30% voted to get rid of him, we get rid of him, or we need 30% of the network to vote to get rid of him, and then we have to get 50.00001% to get rid of him, correct?
Correct. The second, that's correct.
Got it. Awesome. So that's good. So the voting rounds, are you guys concerned at all that you guys get replaced by the community? Or you just feel that because you guys do not that I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying because you guys are going autonomous, and now the wallets obviously going in the hands of the community. You guys have done good work. I think that the community will reward and vote you guys back in, obviously, but that's basically what we're talking about here, right? Like if they want a new team, they could theoretically just vote everybody out, right? Correct?
Exactly. Correct. So basically, Polis has been developed by, not developed, but backed by a single company. So it's the main company that's kind of pushing the development of Polis. We, of course, want it to be as decentralized as possible. And this is kind of a first step towards making the community, hey, we want to change developers. We don't like what you do. You can go away, right? So, and we have the power to do so. So we know that's potentially kind of harming us in the long run. But we believe it's something that's very important to give the people the choice to how the project develops and what, so they have control of how the project evolves. And Polis being a community-driven project, it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and also that we want to kind of ensure that people are able to do.
See, this is what I like.
It's a good incentive. It's a good incentive for the DAO managers that you always step best forward. It's. Your role is at stake, and if you're passionate about stuff, that usually sort of shows off to the community. If you keep doing a good job, then the chances are always that you get voted in again. But if there's a better candidate that actually steps up and gets voted in, then it's always to better the project.
I think it's a really great thing. I think also it takes guts. Because you don't know what the hell is going to happen necessarily, right? This is kind of this is one of my favorite things about crypto, personally, right? So like the U.S., I always like to go back to stories, right? We had our first we had like this weird governance system called the Articles of Confederation right before we had our current system of government. And they were trying to run a president, and they went up to George Washington, and he was like, you know what, dude, I'm not doing it. They had to like convince the guy to campaign and then put him in office and like run him. And he's like, I don't even want to run, man. Like, don't do it. They like put him in office. But like, it was kind of funny because he had created a more decentralized governance model than most places had ever had, right? And the guy's not perfect. I get it. Nobody, you know, nowadays, whatever, screw him. But like, it's interesting to see how, you know, the U.S. was set up, and it really set a standard for like kind of the whole West. Like the Monroe Doctrine came up, and we have like these governance systems. You know, in the West, it's really different from the old world. And I guess where I'm going with this is what we're looking at with like currencies and things like this is it is literally a revolution, right? It's a you know, Nick always says this is a monetary revolution in the Bang on Bitcoin film, but that always stuck with me because I really do think it is. It's a different way of looking at it. And, you know, the fact that these projects, really the ultimate goal is to get it in the hands of the community, from what I see, because we're all coming from a decentralization mindset that are in the community built projects, at least like the ones that, you know, we don't do these huge ICO raises a lot of times. We don't, you know, or, you know, it's a very small amount, and we try to, you know, source together what we have. Maybe we have some kind of company, maybe we have to set up some kind of structure, right? But the ultimate goal is always to hand it back to the community. That is a really romantic idea to me, right? And I love it. And I'm hoping that we see more governance in the same ways that you guys are doing. You know, there's, you know, I'm part of, you know, I work with a lot of token projects, and that's always what I'm pushing. I'm like, how do we get, you know, Discord members to oversee something, or, you know, how do we hand out, you know, this to evangelists? Like, let's give the community more power. They're going to reward us with it because these are our best, you know, that's our best people. Just like in a country, you know, which is very similar, you have like your best performers. You got your Olympians. You got these people. They love America. You know, they're, you know, Canada or, you know, Mexico. Like, we have great people in our societies that really evangelize our country's brands, right? So I look at, you know, there's a lot of books and a lot of precedent for a lot of this stuff. But what I'm saying, and I guess like the summation and the sum total is, I really respect any project that's trying to put more power in the hands of the community, and is willing to say, hey, look, if we don't like the results, that's not our business, because this is why we did it in the first place. That's our mission, right? We're going to keep true to the mission. So, you know, kudos to you guys for, you know, actually going forward with Olympus, and, you know, you're going to hit activate, and then I guess it's in the hands. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I'm just saying it's, you know, that's always in the back of everybody's minds, right? Like, I think the community is going to reward you guys well and keep you guys going good. But I think it's going to be interesting, you know, to see kind of what happens, you know, and how it progresses. So the governance thing, you know, main reason that I wanted to talk to you guys today. But, you know, let's talk a little bit about this proof of stake system that you guys are going to maintain a similar thing to Dash still. You're moving in the same direction there, right? Not many changes on that front, at least, correct?
Well, it's going to be a little bit different, eh? So, Louis, you want to take the word here?
Sure.
So basically, we have made a lot of changes since we began as a fork of Dash. I think the most relevant one would be that we switched from a proof of work, which Dash currently uses, to a proof of stake. We kind of backported the Peercoin's proof of stake, and we have been running with that since, with little to no modifications, right? So I think the most important change regarding Olympus would be that we will be moving to a Casper-inspired proof of stake system. So this is what Ethereum is currently using. So we took all of the ideas from Casper and made our own implementation of that. So yeah, I think the main, I would say the most important benefit from doing this is slashing conditions for malicious nodes or malicious people doing stake. So in the previous chain, if you misbehave in the current chain, you don't get punished. You just get ignored, or maybe you can get away with it, and who knows, right? But actually, the Casper protocol incentivizes the full network of nodes to behave correctly, and if you try to do something wrong for the chain, you will get slashed. Your funds will be burnt. So yeah, I think that will be like the most important change when we migrate to Olympus, and also the previous chain worked on an UTXO system chain, So now we're moving to an account-based system, which has it has some advantages, some disadvantages, but we believe that that's the right next step for the Polis blockchain project.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Casper. And I was really hoping you'd go there, and I was really excited that you went for the Casper thing. You know, I was talking to you guys, and you said, you know, we might beat them to it. You know, like that's how close we are, you know, to getting it done. You know, we might beat them to the implementation. So let's talk about this new type of. I don't think I had ever seen it before, Casper with the slasher, right? So you have the proof of stake, right? And you get rewarded if you're doing everything right. And then there's this slashing aspect. Now, I don't think a lot of people understand this because this is fairly new. And, you know, I set up my buddy called me, he was having issues, and I had never set up a ETH 2.0 node. And I set it up and I saw slashing and I was like, that is all. I knew what it was immediately. I was like, you're going to penalize those nodes. Like, I don't keep up to date on, you know, like fluff. I want to see it implemented. So like when it's implemented, come call me. I don't want to read all the freaking articles about everything else. Like when you get it, let me know. If you want to have a conversation with me and I know the guy, like if I talk to Nick about something he's doing, okay, I know him, he's going to do it. You know, like I judge it a little bit differently. I don't read this stuff on the internet. Let's talk about slashing. What essentially does this entail? Can you talk about it from your perspective and why you think it's important and what the implications are? So, you know, I'm a node and I'm verifying garbage transactions. I'm trying to be a bad actor on the network. What's going to happen to me?
Exactly. So essentially through proof of stake, I think we need to understand that first for anyone listening. Proof of stake, you kind of collateralize some stake. So that's some amount of coins that you are willing to lose if you misbehave or do not behave according to the rules that everyone else is playing with. So yeah, and you use that to validate the blocks, right? So essentially the miners work to validate blocks. It's replaced by validators that do the same thing by staking their own coins. If I try to validate incorrect transactions or blocks, there's I would say there's a set of conditions and rules, which is the consensus mechanism, the Casper consensus. That's what the rules contain. And essentially, if you break any of those rules, it depends on the implementation, but in our current implementation, a fraction of your staked amount will be slashed or burned, or you will lose them essentially, and they will be burned forever. No one has access to that amount that got slashed. And so essentially, each time that you continue to misbehave, that fraction keeps going exponentially bigger. So there's a point where you eventually, by either having an incorrect version or simply by having your node offline when it should be online, you will continue to lose your coins, and essentially there's a point where you are not able to contribute to the validation anymore, right? So this prevents bad actors from continuously harming the network, and well, the more they do it, the faster they will run out of funds, right? So we believe it's an interesting mechanism to keep a proof of stake chain honest and stable. And yep, that's what we're going for with Olympus.
Yeah, we've already extensively tested it, by the way. And the good news for you, if you want to see this thing actually in action, we have a working testnet. So essentially, the code base is so far ready right now that we have a third party auditing it right now to sort of find some of the vulnerabilities and all of that good stuff. So we're extensively running the testnet. I've myself pushed already like more than 100,000 transactions in a sort of a denial of service attack type of thing. So we're really hacking away at thing to see where we can sort of demolish it, see if it's stable, if we can sort of test it to the limits. It's looking very good. It's fantastic to see that slashing principle actually work. You see that your 100 coins that you start with as a validator, so that's the collateral that you need to run a validator, you see them very slowly but surely go away, and your node will be completely kicked off when it reaches like 80 coins. But that only happens when you're really like doing bad stuff. And sometimes it's fun to do, by the way.
Yeah, I want to clarify for the community. So in case you you're not looking at this, let's just really simplify it down. The only time this happens is if, I'm let's put on my bad guy hat. I'm a bad guy. I'm trying to verify crap transactions or scam some money, right? You would have to intentionally do this. This is not something that you're going to run the node normally, and something bad's going to happen, you're going to get slashed off. This is not how that works. You would literally have to be doing something for everybody listening. You're not just going to host a node and something bad's going to happen, okay? In nearly every case, right? So this is really important. You're not going to create a node and lose it. It's just an added feature to incentivize good node holders. So I wanted to switch the perspective of this back to I'm a good guy, right? So the way that Ethereum does, I don't know if you guys differ, right? I can host the core validation, right? We have the validator running. And then on addition to that, I can put on the slashing function. Is this similar with your guys? And can I be incentivized by running a slasher function for bad nodes? Or is this not something that you guys are doing? Is it just okay?
Yeah, it's currently something that's not implemented. If I don't know if we see that it works in the Ethereum chain, we might be considering to have that sort of functionality. But yeah, definitely at the moment that's not something that happens on our system.
Yeah, I think it's a step too far at this point. I want to see an active. I want to see the slashing function play out. I think it's good on its merits. I think it's a really great way of managing proof of stake and bad actors. So, I mean, Hans, you're talking about the DevNet and the testnet here and how you guys are getting it audited. I've been talking to Lewis for a minute. I want to hear your kind of perspective on a couple of these things. I think the conversation is shift. I wanted you to elaborate on that, but I wanted to pause you just to clarify for anybody that might not be familiar, so they're not concerned or anything. I just wanted to make that clear. But if you want to elaborate, and then I wanted to ask you specifically about the debit card thing that you were talking about earlier after that, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So, yeah, the testnet is fully live and active. So we've been first doing a couple of private testnets with of course, the group of devs plus a couple of the fervent testers in our community. The moment that we saw that was ready enough, we set a certain set of deliverables to be able to get people to work with this in the public. That happened about 2 weeks ago, that we actually invited the entire community to start testing the net. We've got a little Chrome plugin built for this, so that it's a little easier with the GUI, because not everybody is very prolific with command line stuff. So in the beginning, it was really like that basic, because we're building something from scratch, right? So it's not exactly that you take code that's readily available. We're building our own entirely new code base. That's also part of the reason why we're getting this audited, because there's no, I'd say, history of this code base. We're really going into a new territory, and that is sometimes scary, but it's also sometimes needed to implement new functions where you have all the flexibility to do so. So these validators, you set up a validator by essentially just running some code, one of the validator codes on a VPS or on some server system. You collateralize this with 100 coins per validator. And the system then starts to essentially do its own thing. So the slashing part is just built into the functionality. Everything is built so that it goes on autopilot, if you will. You essentially build a validator, and you're just like set and forget good if you're just a regular user, and you get rewarded via the proof of stake mechanism that way. So it's a I think a very simple thing that people can participate in. We always focus on making things simple, because if they have to click like more than 3 buttons, then sometimes you lose people already. And mind you, we're a community-based system, so we like to just embrace the entire mainstream population that's not always as technically prolific as we all are. So with the testing, there's APIs. You can do RPC calls towards this node. You can run pretty much all of the things that you normally run towards blockchain nodes, like for Bitcoin, or whether it be for Dash. Those types of functionalities are built in as well. I'm always focusing towards building point of sale systems. That is one of the things that I do. And that is also where I'm now developing our point of sale system towards, so that it's Olympus compatible. And yeah, for that, there's a whole set of instructions that you need to interact with one of these nodes. And We have a scalable capacity, so we can go actually really far. Right now, I have not been able to even touch the capacity of the network because my VPSs are simply not powerful enough to actually do a real DDoS. So that is all looking very good. And yeah, pushing lots and lots of transactions through this thing. It's really fast. We have a block time of 30 seconds. So stuff goes like nearly instantaneous. You immediately see something that is pending and it finalizes very fast. So after every 5 blocks, we have a new slot, a new cycle. And that is where the chain will start finalizing the blocks that were in the past before. So that's perfect because we like to do fast transactions to enable it using like in brick and mortar stores. And yeah, that is, I think, one of the great features here, to have large scalability, but also really fast transaction times that are very secure because of the way that we have this consensus mechanism.
Absolutely. And I was just scrolling through your page while you're talking there, you know, pulling it up, showing everybody so they could kind of see your website. But I think it's incredible. I think you know, the kind of strategy that you guys are going after is really great. And you know, I think you know, this hackathon event that we have paired in conjunction with this media, right? What I'd like to see happen in the future is definitely, you know, Eric and I to kind of hop on and play with your system as soon as like we can, you know, set a time up, something like that. It'd be really cool to check it out. You know, I'm intrigued by, you know, slashers. Like I said, I think Casper is very interesting. I was really excited about it when they first talked about it, and that's why I was saying, like, you know, not paying attention to it until it's actually implemented, because they've talked about it for years. You know, it's like I couldn't do it anymore. They're playing with my heartstrings. So no, I mean, it's really good that you guys are getting it audited. And you know, you said the launch is Q1, correct? You're going live straight Q1. Any kind of more specific deadline on that, or no? Just Q1 in general. Do you have anything?
We want to have it ready by early Q1. Truth is, we are waiting for the audit results. We are, when we receive them, we will be making like a more specific target for a timeline for that. But yeah, it will definitely have to come in early Q1 for next year. And as soon as we deliver on Olympus, we will also be providing like I mean, we will be kind of releasing a vanilla or initial version of Olympus, and then we have a cool set of features planned for the chain, and those, well, we will be having more clarity as well as soon as we release Olympus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't know if you guys can talk about the one business partnership that we were talking about on the call. I don't know if that's something that you wanted to get into, but I do know that you guys have, you know, a really vested interest in trying to get this in very, very targeted areas. And I forgot the gentleman that I was speaking with. I'm drawing a blank right now on the call previously. What was his name?
Andreas?
Yeah, Andreas. I was speaking with Andreas. You know, he was doing a lot of interesting stuff in Europe. I don't know if this is something you guys can talk about, but once again, I know that you have some business partnerships coming out. I know that you guys are really targeting, you know, trying to get in business owners' hands and for all the benefits there. And you know, I know you talked about the payment systems, you know, in this debit card function. I'd love to hear first a little bit more details about how that works, because, you know, you got to have like a fiat off ramp somehow, right, to make this work, right? On ramp, off ramp instantly. There's a couple other issues there. So first, let's talk about the debit card usability, and then we'll talk about kind of like what the implications are for like everyday business. If I'm a Polis community member and I want to go pay, I can pay anywhere. But like, how does that work? And when is that available now? Like, can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, let me just go back a little in the past of how this all started. It's what got me into the project in the first place, like I previously mentioned. I have a stack like this thick of no longer working crypto cards. I've basically seen them all, tested them all, because I believe that it is a great sort of intermediate function to get people interested into crypto. Because one of the first things they always say is like, how can I use it? Where can I spend it? What can I do with it? That's the sort of reality that we're facing. I mean, we're not all like in this same sort of project, knowing where we're going, but most people just see it as like another form of money that they just want to use to buy things, and that's fine. That is actually a very good sort of thing to have. So we set out with a MasterCard that was issued via a Mexican, because the headquarters is in Mexico, bank solution provider, and that worked out actually really beautiful. So we started shipping out cards everywhere. Everybody started. It was going gangbusters, and it was going so well that it got so much attention that at some point it turned out that there was a couple of things in the in-between party not 100% like checked off. They actually told us that everything was okay, but when then push comes to shove, we had some issues, and unfortunately we had, because of that, to shut that project down, which is very unfortunate, but yeah, it is what it is. So of course we start looking out for new opportunities, new ways, and we found different new ways. So we have a working card right now for the European areas that is top up via gift cards. We have a large selection of gift cards built straight into our mobile wallet, which might also be an interesting thing to mention.
That's what I was gonna ask about.
What I do, for instance, I practically live off of crypto here in Canada. So if I need to fill up my car, I actually buy a ESSO gift card. I then move the balance into my SpeedPass app. I get to the gas station. I authorize the pump from my phone, and I fill up. There's no bank involved, nothing. And that all from a gift card, which I immediately get issued from paying into with our cryptocurrencies in Polis Pay. So you can pay with Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dash, all those like big ones are there, but also the whole slew of small ones. Of course, Polis is in there. We are very, I'd say, open towards other communities. So we embrace other projects and deliver the same sort of capabilities that we've already built here, because we believe that we're all sort of going after the same thing, which is usability and adoption of this beautiful project that we're all working on, which you can hear I'm mildly passionate about. And so that is very easy with our Polis Pay app, which is a multi-coin wallet. And these gift cards, it's like the cat's meow for me. So the debit card in Europe, it's from a company called ePay. It's a MasterCard, and you can top it up by buying a gift card, which then automatically does the translation into balance on that card. So that's, in this case, the off-ramp. But yeah, we're building new types of systems that I think will be also tied into Olympus when we go there, because that's actually where the focus right now is. We have a good thing going with the current chain, but of course the focus is on the new chain, and it's going to be even better. Like we will have at some point smart contracts in there run from Solidity. So you can take basically any already developed smart contract and then run it on the Olympus blockchain. We have. Am I going a little too far already, Lewis?
No, you're not. You're perfect for me.
Yeah, and so, well, I mean, in what I can say and not. So, but this is all common anyway, so it's good to get it out there. So we have a separate block space. Like in every block, we have a separate space for smart contract transactions and regular transactions. So we are not going to get bogged down when we create, for instance, a CryptoKitties contract that might go rogue on the network and gets basically just all the bandwidth. So on top of that, the scalability of stuff, yeah, it's going to be super cool. We're also looking at implementations of like ENS, all those very cool things. It's 2021 is going to be like awesome. I'm so looking forward to already implementing all of these things, building new features in our own code base, which is also run, don't forget that, on a coin that is the gas money, that is a capped, limited amount. So unlike Ethereum, where we actually don't know what the maximum amount is that's ever going to be there, we have 25 million coins ever. On Olympus, same thing. So that might give some interesting sorts of things for the future. So it's looking very good.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot in that. So let's talk about kind of like I understand you guys have this like top up card. So like for me, this is really interesting, right? I like using gift cards and crypto and going straight from one to the other. It's pretty awesome, right? The problem is like for the mass market, like people really get frustrated. I don't know if like they get, it's not that hard to do such a thing, right? And from my perspective, this is normal because this is how I live my life, right? I got to purchase something over here. Oh, I just get a gift card. It's fine. I'm going to use it. And we're starting to see more implementations of this gift card model, which was really difficult back in the day, but now it's a lot easier. I mean, there was a time when you had to buy like, random deals. I know Paxful struggled with this model, like, bad actors, putting up fake gift cards, all this stuff. The good thing is here is you're dealing with an official company that's doing this gift card retailing. There's no issue. It's completely above board. You can purchase these things. You're not going to get your account banned by using the gift cards that you purchase here, as opposed to like other places. Sometimes like you don't know where the gift card came from. So I like that strategic partnership aspect. I also like the merchant services aspect. And, this is what you talked about in Europe, and I'm hoping to see that expand out because, if you have, this card, this is something that I don't know if you guys are going to be open to including other currencies on it as well. I don't know what the policy is internally, but, this is independent and by itself, its own business model type deal, right? You have a card, and if you can get partners and market segments and introduce this thing to more and more people, they have the ability to use it. So I still think that the jury's out on, who's going to be the major card company, who's going to take over the world. I don't think that's the way it is anymore. I think a lot of people like to think that that's the way it is like, hey, look, we're gonna dominate absolutely everybody in the world. It's like, no, we're gonna get a ton of market share and we're gonna make tons of value. And we're gonna bring crypto to everybody, and our project's gonna be huge. And there's gonna be a lot of competitors in the market, right? But that's kind of okay because. Look, where we're transitioning from is there's these massive monopolies, the US being a huge one with fiat, right? And they're just this huge cash monopoly, and like nobody can do anything. And they have all these rules in the banking system, SWIFT and everything else. And they're super inefficient. I mean, there's tons of stories. The banks are no better. They lose money all the time. They send money everywhere. They do the wrong things. They do all this. They get hacked. They lose the customer's information. This is part of the reason they think like pseudo anonymity is like a bad thing. It's a really good thing. If a senator got his stuff hacked, right, and he loses all his information, all his personal files go out, wouldn't it have been better if that guy was pseudo anonymous, like pseudonymous on the internet? Like, I don't think that they put it together. I think that things like this, these on-ramp, off-ramps are really important. I think you can capture large amounts of the market. You integrate into the dinosaur system in the easiest way possible. I'm going to keep calling it the dinosaur system until, I know the bankers get mad at me, but it is the dinosaur system. They got to get over it. It's like fossils. Yeah. It's fossils. I mean, I don't know, if I offend somebody, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I can't see one rational argument of how that system is somehow better unless you're the guy, scooping off the top. Like, that's just the reality. If you're that guy, great. I mean, I would say the same thing. I try to convince people, but the argument's horrible. Oh, I'm just gonna print money. You go out there and we're just gonna give this to everybody. Grants and government stuff, and we're gonna take all this debt and we're gonna put it on you, and then we're gonna collect it later in taxes. And if you don't collect it, you get thrown in a cage. Like this model, I think everybody's gonna look back at this, and they're gonna look at income taxes and the printing of money. And if you look at it at its core, and I don't know what the reasons were for it, I'm not going to blame any specific person, but we're going to look back at it and we're going to be like, people actually went to jail for this. People actually did this for this. Like, it's actually bizarre that that's the way the systems work in nearly every country, right? So I think that this better model where you have transaction fees, and Jeff was talking about it earlier, like where you have these proof of stake systems that you can generate income that people agree to. There's no agreement on the tax rate a lot of times. These are people making decisions for us. This is not democracy in action, so to speak. It's not like, hey, look, we want to fund our development community, and like just think of it as a broader scale. We want to fund our roads, and like we want to fund this, and this is the budget that we're going to allocate for it, and we can vote on it later. So the governance with the proof of stake, with the onboarding, with the slashing for bad actors, getting them out of there, all these things really come into your value ecosystem, and this is something Jeff talked about earlier. I don't use that word enough, but since he used it, your value ecosystem. I think you guys have a particularly high value ecosystem. So, we have a couple minutes left here. And I one of my questions, and this might be a little bit of criticism, but I have to ask it because I can't, just fanboy the whole time. So one of my concerns when I was looking at Polis, I was like, man, where's all the liquidity, where's all the exchanges? This isn't like a top issue for me. If you have one or two, that's great. I wanted you guys to talk about kind of the strategy there, and I know that you have some excellent partners that can, you're been in communication, you're waiting, in a lot of ways for this, this Olympus program. So can we talk about kind of the roadmap there and what the rationale behind it is and like what's coming? Because I think this is really huge, and I think that you guys have a lot to talk about there. So kind of what's going on with the exchange thing, like on CoinGecko, when I see, like why only a couple, and then like what do you guys plan to do about that?
Yep. So essentially, as we said earlier, we are a masternode project. That having a masternode requires you to lock 1,000 coins, so that's 1,000 polis in order to create it. And we have been, it's kind of a good thing, bad thing, because there's a lot of people that hold on to our coins, right? So they create masternodes, they enjoy the rewards, they use the rewards to buy the gift cards so that they can buy things in the real world that are used for them. So yeah, there's currently like around 9 million coins locked of a total supply of maybe close to 11 million.
And everybody, let me pause you really quick. Yeah, 11 million total. Not very many, in case anybody's wondering. This is one of the cool parts. I forgot to touch on that. I just wanted to highlight that I was impressed with how many you had locked over the total supply, right? And how much is available. I thought that was really interesting. And hearing you guys talk about like your community members and how you're able to be sustained is like, this is really an early stage thing. You guys have a somewhat large community, but it seems as though like these guys have been holding and doing stuff with you guys for a long time. So it's kind of like Sleeper. Like you've been doing all this stuff, you got all these active people, and I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think I remember. Maybe I heard about you once or twice somewhere here or there, but you guys kind of popped up on the radar due to a random call, and we were like really excited. I was like, wow, you don't hear a lot about people just being locked up that much, having all these things. So sorry, continue on, but just wanted to make
but
11 million total supply.
One of the things that's also a bit of our thing is that we have actually not started promoting the project before we really had like the deliverables. The moment that we had our MasterCard, we started to go a little bit, and boom, it started to grow. But we just basically don't want to sell air. We want to have like deliverables and then start promoting it. We also start building the structure, like the DAO structure. Our organization now has all the right people in these capacities that every entity that wants to grow really needs. So it's not just only technology, but it's also important parts like the marketing, communication, communities, and all those types of things like adoption. So that just got in place as we're working towards getting the mainstream or the mainnet for Olympus up. So yeah, we're going to make a lot of noise. But we can do that with actual deliverables. So that's part of the plan.
And I want Lewis to continue, but
yes, go ahead.
It's very rare. A lot of people have stuff going on, and I'll tell you what, I've talked to like really big projects with massive budgets, and I'm not going to name anybody specifically, okay? But there are very large projects out there, that do not know what the hell they're doing. And they don't know why they're doing this. They're talking about business engagement. They might have hired, this Oxford MBA or whatever they hire, and they think that in itself is the solution. And what they've overlooked in a lot of these instances is not that person, on paper might not be qualified, but that they don't have the requisite experience or understanding or risk-taking abilities, which is required in such an early stage market as crypto. And this is part of the thing. Like I've worked on projects with some of these people. Like I mentioned, back in the day, we did a lot of token raise marketing, all that stuff. We worked with a lot of people. I got to get too much into it. It's kind of boring, but there were older people that might have been, more qualified and, maybe more experienced. It could have been like risk takers that like would really go out there and make progress happen, right? And I felt like some of the worst things that could happen was a person that was, either didn't know how much they didn't know and was really relying on their laurels or their, hey, look, this is, I'm from a top college and I do all this stuff, and I'm the best ever. Yet there's somebody out there just running around building stuff, smashing into walls, just kind of like eating their lunch for them. And they might have raised all the money in the world, with all the investors saying, hey, look at our pedigree. But at the end of the day, the implementation's what caught up with them. And now, years down the road, they've changed, several key staff members. They can't figure it out, and the culture's all jacked up. They didn't, they might have a community and it's there, but it's kind of like wavering. And okay, there's more projects coming out. Like, look at these guys. They didn't hype it up too much. Polis is over here. They're working. They're getting some stuff done with, relatively small market cap, all these things. Like, all these metrics are like really good. And I get excited about projects like that, especially I will be the biggest proponent of any open source project, any open source community that's really trying to make a difference and decentralize. I'll be the first one that goes up on stage and not give a crap about what anybody thinks and just talk about how great they are, right? Because I see so much value in that, in keeping with, from the white paper that Satoshi wrote until today. People, the maxis like to talk about, hey, look, it's Bitcoin or nothing else. I don't think that that's anybody's intent. If you read the white paper and the way that it was designed, it was meant to be open source. It embodied the concept of double spend. The guy talks about improving his mechanisms in the paper and what we're going to do. And this is kind of where we're headed. So I think it's a really corrupted worldview for, and I don't think it's the majority of crypto. I actually think the majority of crypto is people like me and you and Lewis and Hans here. And we're just trying to make sure that we build the best things possible and innovate and get this stuff out there, and we're going to acquire market share, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to learn things and grow, and it's a fun competition between all these different projects. And what we're starting to see is people specialize into their areas of expertise and do really well. So I'm glad that in a way there's nothing but up for Polis, in the sense that, like, you get added here, more people learn about you, you have a small cap, and this is, I guess, the other question I have is that the max supply that'll ever exist, or you guys can keep growing, right? Or is it just capped at 12 million? That was my question.
It's capped at 25 million. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hijack it there. I just wanted to kind of go on a tangent and talk about why I think it's important for an open source project to really get the core tech done before they try to talk about, like what Hans is saying, the scalability aspect will bite you in the ass eventually. Like, you will be caught and you won't know what to do and you won't have the capabilities. You'll be a dinosaur project if you don't have the right team, the right culture, people that believe in the project. That's 90% of it. You could have all the money in the world, it's going to disappear. I mean, it's held in the value of your token, your value ecosystem. It is held in that. And if you cannot keep the value there, people are going to start selling. The team could have 1 million coins. It could be worth all the money in the world today. And if it crashes down to 1 penny, they're broke. And that happened in 2017. A lot of times that happened. Yeah. It's happened to, so, like, I don't want to get into all the projects that happened. I don't need to stomp on them, but there were definitely a bunch of people who felt too big. We're the smartest, we're the best, we're doing this. That's not the case ever. You're only as good as what you're doing right now today. Exactly. Crypto is a very vicious cycle. This is very
I think the Polis case is pretty interesting because it started pretty much the opposite way, right? So there's a bunch of great developers, of passionate developers that really love the project and are building into it, but they don't know how to sell it, right? So they don't know how to present it to the world and so on. So I would say for the first 2 years of existence of Polis, that's why most people didn't know about us. And I believe that that's the main thing that we did right this year, right? In 2020, we got kickstarted the DAO. So we elected the first 5 DAO managers for the Polis project. And since June this year, when the DAO was elected, I have seen a lot of progress in areas where we as only developers will never have been able to tap into. So yeah, from business, from relationships with exchanges and so on, we have been building a lot of great things this year, and I believe that was we had, before having the DAO, we had the people and the budget for doing so, but we didn't have the know-how. So I believe the only thing that was missing from the project was this small structure and limited, specific tasks and roles that people have within it. And since we have been working this way, I have seen a lot of improvement in the project. And yeah, I'm really happy with how things have been working out so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna give you guys till 1:05 here, because I know we ran into your time a little bit. So there's 2 more key things, and I know Eric is part of my team, so I can run through his time if I'd like, but he'll get angry at me, but we'll deal with it. he's a very good coder. He can get it done quick. I'm sure the workshop will go great. So I kind of interrupted you, and I wanted to give you the chance to talk about these business relationships, specifically exchanges and the strategy behind that. And I wanted you to elaborate on that because I felt it was important. And then I want to kind of close up and give you guys some final thoughts. So with 10 minutes left here, let's talk for 5 minutes about some of the partners you guys have found and what the strategy was for the exchanges. Because I could talk about it and I was excited about it, but I want to hear from you guys as to why not many exchanges right now, and then like kind of what you guys were looking to do, and then final thoughts and where to find you and follow you. So floor is yours, gentlemen, please.
So one of the things that we've always had is that the community more or less also selects our exchange by just running the volume on certain exchange. So we've had quite some community and volume going on in Cryptopia when that still existed. It was one of our larger exchanges at the time. Mind you, we're a project that actually does everything the hard way. So we started with no funding pretty much. There's like as good as no pre-mine, that sort of stuff. We have a very fair distribution from proof of work. But that means ultimately that you will have to finance everything just like the hard way. So we never really had large ICO budgets or what have you to right away get listed for, I don't know, 100 Bitcoin or, so we had to work with the smaller exchanges. We started with Cryptopia and a bunch of other things. We had CryptoBridge, all the ones that actually started to vanish on us, and all the time the community very loyally followed us to the other exchanges. So right now we have South Exchange, we had something going with Whitebit for a little bit in an attempt to actually go to what higher tiers, but the community ultimately decides where they take the volume. So that actually sort of has been working pretty okay for us, and we thought, we can just start pouring lots of money into big exchanges, but it might not even bring us what we actually need for the project. So it's always on our radar, mind you. But one of the things we've done is tap into this DeFi thing. You may have seen, I'm not sure if it's listed on CoinGecko, but we have wrapped Polis now as well. We actually like to call it Taco Polis because in the sushi swap stuff, the food theme, we had an idea to call it burrito, but the main developer likes tacos better. So, so that's actually a very interesting thing because we're now on Uniswap. And many times over, we're just there like for a week and a half or so. We have more volume there than on anything else. And we're starting to get like really into this whole DeFi thing, which is great because we're going to run that on Olympus too. So I'm going to head it over to you now, Lewis, for some of the plans that we have.
Yeah, so basically the DAO has been working really hard to kind of bring Polis to wider community. We have secured some deals at this point, but we are not entirely allowed to talk about them with names and so on. But we're considering some tier 2 exchanges for next year. We are waiting for Olympus because exchanges have this tendency to kind of charge you for every upgrade, protocol update, fork update. We don't really like it, but that's the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So we are planning on delivering Olympus first, and then we have pretty much a couple of them secured to be listed as soon as Olympus goes live, and it's stable. And that's I think the main thing that we are hoping to achieve on 2020. We are obviously always looking for new business relationships. We are Andreas, our DAO manager for the business department. He's pretty he's pretty active looking for this type of listings and so on. And I believe he's doing an amazing job. I know the community is aware of this. And so I expect much more of this type of news for the next year.
Yeah, I think, add on to that, one of the things that I pride ourselves in at the Blockchain Center is definitely trying to help people that are working on good projects and be a community resource center. So it's one of the reasons that I thought, and Nick thought, Nick Spanos, the chairman of the organization, thought that, a biz dev team that really establishes relationships with some of the larger desks, some of the larger exchanges and everything like that, that we have an open line of communication in it and want to help. So I know we're going to have conversations about that when the time comes. But like you guys said, I think it's about trying to make sure that the new version is issued first, the Olympus, and then you're going to push for the exchanges, because the change would not be worth it at this point, because you're going to have to go back through it and do it anyways, right? And the timing is really sound. I mean, it's a sleeper. You guys got Uniswap in the meantime. The wrap token thing, I have some ideas on that for the proof of stake stuff. I want to talk to you guys about that as well. I know we talked on a couple different calls. We have a lot of people that have been talking to us, about this specific thing. It's a hot topic. So that's kudos to your team for pulling that off. I thought that was incredible. I think your guys are in the right place. And, I think there's a lot of stuff that the Blockchain Center would love to talk to you guys about. We appreciate you guys coming on short notice. I know we had talked about it, and we, Hack the Holidays was really jammed together with a lot of great speakers. We got Brock Pierce coming on later. We got all these great guys. And it's great to have you here and talk about your stuff, and your project and your value ecosystem, and, Olympus and all this wonderful stuff. So I know we'll hear from you guys again, and, maybe we'll get you on Dev Wednesday, mess around with some stuff. But really quickly, where are we following you guys? Where are we going for Polis? Is it where I know we got your website here? It's polispay.org. What's the Twitter? Give me the rundown and sign us out if you wouldn't mind. To close this segment and hand it off to Eric.
Yeah. So our Twitter account is @PolisBlockchain. We have a YouTube channel as well, but all of those channels you can find easily in the footer of the polispay.org website. If you want to look for the mobile wallet, you can find it on polispay.com.
Great. Louis, Hans, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it very much, and we hope to have you back on another event sometime. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Aidan. Good luck.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.